One of the greatest pirates of the world was certainly Francis Drake. This Englishman was born in 1540 in a miserable shack in Tavistock, Devonshire. His father, Edmund Drake, was a priest. He let his son miss out on a career as a sailor, for which the boy seemed to have a real passion. Young Francis Drake served as a muse on board a coastal ship that made the connection with Holland. Hardworking, active, and tenacious, Drake soon acquired the theoretical knowledge necessary to manage a ship. After making some savings, increased by the sale of a boat that his first employer had left him as an inheritance, Drake made several longer voyages, visited the Bay of Biscay, the Gulf of Guinea, and spent all his money to procure the merchandise he was supposed to sell in the West Indies. But he did not even have time to reach his destination when the ship and the merchandise were confiscated by the Spanish. The young man then swore to avenge the injustice suffered and kept his word. In 1567, that is 2 years after this incident, a small fleet of 6 warships, the largest of which was 700 tons, left Plymouth, with the approval of the Queen, to make an expedition to the coast of Mexico. Drake commanded a ship of 50 tons. First, several hundred blacks were captured at Cape Verde as a dress rehearsal for what was to happen in Mexico. Then the English besieged Mina, from where they kidnapped some more blacks to sell them in the Antilles. He returned home with great difficulty in January 1569. Drake then made 2 expeditions to the West Indies to study the places. When he felt that he had the necessary knowledge, he equipped at his own expense 2 ships, the Swan of 25 tons, under command of his brother John, and the Pasha of Plymouth of 75 tons. The 2 warships had a crew of 73 sea wolves, on which to base himself. From July 1572 to August 1573, Drake made a fruitful cruise on the coasts of the Gulf of Darien, attacking the cities of Veracruz and Nombre de Dios, collecting considerable booty. Drake, whose numbers had begun to become known, managed to be presented to Queen Elizabeth, to whom he explained his plan to go and devastate the western coast of South America, passing through the Strait of Magellan. He obtained, with the title of Admiral, a fleet composed of 5 warships, in which 160 elite sailors were embarked. With this flotilla, Drake left Plymouth on November 15, 1577, captured a small booty before reaching the Cape Verde Islands, where he refreshed his supplies, and then sailed for 56 days to cross the Atlantic and reach the coast of Brazil. After several adventures, Drake began his amazing voyage along the Pacific coast of South America. In the port of Valparaiso, the English seized a rich ship loaded with Chilean wines and gold bars valued at 37,000 ducats. Then they plundered the city, which the inhabitants had hastily abandoned. At Arica, the English plundered 3 small boats and found in one of them 57 bars of silver, valued at 50,160 livres. In the port of Lima, where 12 ships were anchored, the booty was particularly large. But what pleased Drake the most was the news that a galleon called Cagafuego, with a rich cargo, was heading for Paraca. The admiral immediately rushed in pursuit and had no difficulty in capturing it, finding 80 pounds of gold there. After several more or less rich captures made on the coasts of Peru, Drake, learning that a large Spanish fleet was preparing to set out against him, thought it was time to return to England. He arrived there in November 1580, after circumnavigating the Earth through the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and then the Atlantic Ocean. The reception he received in England was at first extremely cold. The plundering of Spanish cities and ships, while the 2 countries were at peace, made him rightly considered by a part of society to be a pirate who trampled on the rights of the people. The Queen herself, held back by diplomatic necessities, pretended for 5 months that she had not heard of his return. But after this respite, whether circumstances had changed, or she no longer wished to keep him at a distance, the Queen came to Deptford, where Drake's ship was once again moored, boarded it, and knighted the navigator. Loaded with honors, invested with important commands, Drake died at sea on April 28, 1596, when he had set out on an expedition against the Spaniards.